Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card. So in our first fight, we have a bout in the featherweight division, Algeo versus Spike Carlyle. So two of these guys both put on some impressive performances. I think Spike Carlyle's coming off a loss, Algeo's coming off a loss. But impressive performance in that fight. I think Spike Carlyle had an impressive debut, I believe. Yeah, definitely an impressive debut. His last fight was impressive, but it was a loss. But it was an exciting fight. It was a competitive fight, and it was a tough fight and showed his skill set. And now he's dropping down to 145 to 145 from 155 after that loss, hoping to use his size, use the wrestling, use his strength, and use those advantages. And looking at the history, typically cutting down has served wrestlers and grapplers well. And going up in weight has served strikers well. So I think he's in the right place right now, or at least he's making the right move. Or if it's not a bad weight cut, this seems like the right move. And he should be favored in this one. I think he is currently favored in this one. But both of these guys put on impressive performances. I think Algeo's last performance was even more impressive against Ricardo Lamas. And Lamas' last fight, or at least is of now last fight, definitely had Lamas hurt a lot of times on the feet, was impressive off his back. But in that fight, he did show what really did, losing the fight was large periods of time where Lamas was just controlling him on top. And we can't just act like Lamas is just nobody. Lamas is a very talented fighter. I say more talented than both of these guys right here. No knock on any of these guys right here, but Lamas is more talented than both of these guys. As far as his striking and his grappling, he's I think a long time black belt in BJJ and et cetera, et cetera. So Lamas controlling you, especially with his wrestling and his level of BJJ, puts him in a different tier. So I don't think Spike Carlyle is nearly as clean or talented or skilled or decorated. Well, I don't know. He's definitely decorated, but I don't think he's, like I said, he don't have that experience. He's not as composed, and he doesn't blend it together as good as Lamas does. But I definitely think he can definitely probably have that strength advantage, that wrestling advantage, that judo advantage and whatnot, in grappling advantage, and be able to put the smaller Algeo, or at least as far as size-wise. Algeo will be taller. Algeo's built like Jack Skeleton, but he got some hands on him. He can do some damage. But yeah, I see Algeo being an issue for Carlyle on the feet. Definitely, he could catch him because Carlyle's striking is very open to, very flawed, especially defensively. And he kind of just relies on overhands and stuff and spinning stuff, but not just pretty sloppy. But I think it's really gonna come down to Carlyle. And Carlyle's hard to put away. Tough chin, tough guy, and he's relentless. So he gonna see that Algeo last fight, he's going to put him on the mat. He's going to continue to put him on the mat through 3 rounds. And that's what he's going to do. It's going to be a competitive fight. But I think Algeo can find openings on the feet and tag him up. But Spike Carlyle is going to be quick to lock him up and try to, just stall him on the ground. He's definitely going to look for the finish. Carlyle is not a guy that just looks out there and go for the decision. He's going to be trying to finish him. But he's definitely going to be trying to put him on the mat. There's no ifs and no buts about that. And I think he has the skills to neutralize Algeo, neutralize Algeo's submission attempts. But like I said, it's going to be another good scrap. Definitely back and forth, definitely tight. But Carlyle's takedowns, control, and work rate on top is going to edge it for him. So in this fight, I got Spike Carlyle via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Baeza versus Takashi Sato. So look at this one right here. It's going to be quick one or semi-quick one. I think Sato's an amazing fighter, and I think in Baeza's last fight, I think his debut fight, Baeza showed better technical skills or technical abilities, or just better fundamentals. He was moving his head a lot in his debut against Hector Aldana was moving his head, moving his feet. And then against Matt Brown, his head was kind of stationary. That's why he was getting tagged. I think he got his mouthpiece knocked off. He might even got dropped. I'm just going off memory right now, but he definitely got his mouthpiece knocked out. He was definitely close to being finished. But yeah, in his first fight, he was moving his feet the whole time, levels changing, mixing the wrestling well. Sticking that leg kick, smashing that leg kick into Aldana's lead leg, like head movement jab. But like in the Matt Brown fight, he was pretty sloppy. He got a win. It was impressive. It was amazing. It was a good fight, but his fundamentals were sloppy in that fight. But if Baeza just moved his head and moved his feet and just mixed his full game together, this would be an easy fight to beat Takashi Sato. I'm not saying like easy, but easy as far as to predict. Like, he's definitely going to win. It's not going to be an easy fight, but he's going to win the fight. And I am leaning to him to win this fight. And I'm saying he's going to win this fight, but definitely the fact that in that last fight, he got away from his fundamentals and that almost cost him the fight. That could easily have Takashi Sato pulling off a knockout victory over him. Sato has his flaws and stuff, but he's still a solid fighter that can, deal with Baeza's wrestling, potentially. And then on feet, I think overall he's the better striker. And he has that right hand that's very sneaky. And I think it's his left hand. By the way, he has a good straight. That's one of his best tool, and tool he relies heavily on it. And if you're not moving your head, you easily get walked into that straight and get knocked out. And that could definitely happen. But what I see Miguel Baeza going back to his fundamentals, head movement, foot movement, sticking the jab, controlling his distance, mixing in the takedowns, and fighting a clean technical fight. And in that path to victory, he beats Sato all day. And I think that's what he does. I don't think he stops Sato, but I think he beats him to a decision, competitive, but clear that Baeza probably might even win this fight 30-27. And that's probably why I'm going to lean to 30-27, mixing in the wrestling, keeping his boxing clean, and keep it on his toes, moving that head. And Nylon, a guy that just really has one kill shot to catch you with that one kill shot. He got dynamite in one hand, and he's going to want to use that hand. Outside that one hand and that one punch. Like I said, move that head, give him a lot of different looks, and never allow him to land that one shot. Because when somebody lean on something, that's when you got to give it, like you're doing fundamentals, like your fundamentals on point. It's really rare that you're going to get caught by a person who just got one punch. But if you like your head stationary, your feet not moving, your head not moving, then that punch becomes, the odds of that punch landing increase tremendously. But either way, like I said, I think Miguel Baeza is overall the more well-rounded fighter, and he's going to prove that overall the more well-rounded and the better fighter and the more versed fighter, and he's going to prove that moving that head, moving those feet, sticking the jab, mixing the takedowns, and beating Sato to a decision. So in this fight, I have Miguel Baeza via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, Amir Albazi versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And I'm not going to say that name again because I'm not picking him to win. And I'm going to say that again. I'm not saying that name again because I'm not picking him to win. So, or at least not the last name. So Zhalgas versus Albazi. I think Albazi proved a lot in his fight coming in the UFC. Even though Malcolm Gordon right now, we might say, oh, he was just a nobody or he wasn't this good. Like, I think Malcolm Gordon was a pretty talented fighter and pretty good fighter. And he still is. I'm not saying like he died or anything, but a solid, talented fighter. And Albazi actually made a statement. I think when we look back, we're going to say, oh, that was a more impressive performance than we realized about him beating Malcolm Gordon. And Zhalgas, you could say, oh, he got robbed in this fight, or he should have won his fight, and you wouldn't be far from being wrong in that one. But I'm more impressed by what Albazi did than what Zhalgas did. And even looking at Zhalgas' fights, I think a lot of the fights he fought, I think he lost. Like his biggest name victories in other leagues, I think he lost those fights. And now coming this fight, what I see, let me just kind of say what I see about Zhalgas. I think Zhalgas is not that the most phenomenal fighter, not the most talented fighter, not even really a good or great fighter. Well, you can say he's a good or a decent fighter or whatnot. But like what I mean by that, his striking is not amazing, his wrestling is not amazing. He kind of looks like a tough irritation. That's what he kind of is, a fighter. A guy that probably never be a champion or really challenge for. Well, he probably, I don't know. Technically, he could have been a champion, or he might already been a champion. But as far as UFC and the best of the best, he just don't have it. I don't think he'll ever will. He's one of the fighters like tough and annoying. Like he can go all the rounds. He can get back to his feet. He's strong, kind of on the slow side, but active. So like he's a guy you can't necessarily wrestle to an easy decision, or a guy you can't just play with. You gotta be on your P's and Q's at all times because he's gonna give you a tough fight. That's kind of what I see with Zhalgas. But I think Amir Albazi, I don't think he'll be a champion. I'm not really saying right now, but he has skills that could take him further. I think he's the fastest fighter. He's the younger fighter by 5 years. He got an inch of height, and he has 4 inches of reach. So he has the assets. I think he's a better grappler, and I think that's what's going to happen in the fight. I think he's going to outwork Zhalgas and be there, stay consistent, be sharper, be more technical, and beat Zhalgas to a decision. So in this fight, I have Amir Albazi via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Josh Parsons versus Parker Porter. So I'm going to say Parsons versus, Parker Porter. So look at this fight right here. Porter is coming off a quick knockout loss. Parsons, like, riding a little bit of steam. Nothing crazy, but a little bit of steam. He's not coming off a loss, definitely, like Porter is. Not coming off a stoppage loss like Porter is. He's younger by more than 3 years. He's taller by 4 inches of height. I think about a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage over Porter. So really looking at this fight, I'm not, like I was saying, so impressed by Parsons. I'm not so against Porter, but you kind of lean to momentum in this one. Lean to the height, lean to the striking. I mean, not the striking, but lean to the height, the reach, the size of Parsons. And look at Porter's, where he's coming from. He's a guy who got knocked out by John Jones. I'm not saying that's what happened in the last fight, but so your chin's not the most phenomenal. You get knocked out by John Jones of all people. Especially like a one-punch knockout. Coming off a knockout loss in your debut in the UFC. Kind of been a journeyman for a long time in your career, so that's a factor. And confidence not the best. And like really, I'm not saying neither of these guys are so much better than the other one, but it's the fact that Parsons has that height and that reach and that size. And he has knockout power. You're going against a guy that doesn't have the best chin. Coming off a knockout loss. And I like all those factors like the size, the height, the reach, the power. And you're going against a guy that's coming off a loss and it's chinny. So I'm going to lean to Parsons one. I think, like I said, not impressed with either of these guys. I need to see more from Parsons than what I've seen. But going off with the little I have from both of these guys, really, I'm going to lean to Parsons factors. In a heavyweight fight, knockouts are very prevalent. Especially when the guy, given the talent level of these guys, not being exactly the best just yet, and Parsons still having that ability to be maybe at least attempt to be upper echelon, or at least make a stamp in this division. With Porter, really is a very slim chance he'll do any bit of anything in this league outside of maybe getting a win in the UFC. But yeah, to the point, bigger, stronger, younger, knockout power versus a guy that's chinny. I think it's going to be a little bit of a sloppy fight, but Parsons is going to catch him in the second round and knock him out. So in this fight, I got Josh Parsons via second round TKO. Now to our co-main event, we have in the light heavyweight division, Anthony Smith versus Devin Clark. So look at this fight right here. People might make it closer because of not because of Devin Clark. It's more so because of Smith in his last two fights. He lost to Glover Teixeira, who we just seen beat Thiago Santos. So is that really that bad? I think he put on a way better performance than Thiago Santos. Yes, Thiago Santos had Glover hurt twice, but his grappling looked mediocre. Takedown offense looked mediocre. His will and heart looked mediocre. So really, in my opinion, I think Smith did a better job because he was actually winning rounds. I don't think Thiago Santos realistically won any rounds against Glover. He had him hurt, and you could say, oh, he had him hurt, but then you instantly got put in almost got finished at the end of that round, and then finished actually in the third round. But yeah, so he has looked better than me against Glover Teixeira than Anthony Smith did. I mean, actually, Anthony Smith looked better than Thiago Santos did against Glover Teixeira. So if you're going to talk about Smith's performance against Glover, why not talk about Thiago Santos' performance against Glover? Why not hold it just the same? So Smith, I give him a little bit of a lean on that one. I give him a pass, even though it shouldn't be a pass on that one. A slight pass. A pass with an asterisk on that one. And then his last fight, he fought, I'm forgetting his name right now, but I'm not going to try to remember, but I know who that dude is. But the dude he fought in the last fight is a beast. And people don't sleep on him, but I realistically saw him as a guy that would beat Thiago Santos, I see him as a fighter that's better than Thiago Santos. Now, I'm saying not Smith, but let me just pause it and then get back to this and realize the guy's name. But I'll be back. And then as soon as I paused and was going to look for his name instantly came to my mind, Alexander Rakic. But yeah, or Ratchet or Rakic. But Rakic is like 6'6", powerful, good grappling. He's a much more well-rounded fighter than a lot of these people in this division. More well-rounded than Dominic Reyes, more well-rounded than Smith, more well-rounded than Thiago Santos. So when we look at some of the best prospects coming up in this division, he's like the most well-rounded prospect of all of them. So the way he lost him, it was disappointing, but the fact that he lost to him was not disappointing. I expect him to lose. I expect him to get beat even worse, but it was more so the fact that he really didn't give no fight back that was what made it bad, and also the fact that Rakic on his end didn't go for a finish. But either way, I see Rakic probably might even be the best prospect in the light heavyweight division right now. Probably. If not the best, definitely top two in this prospect in this division, or contender in this division. With his height, his frame, his well-roundedness, definitely top two. And always been top two. As far as, since these new waves started to come up. But yeah, so no discredit against those two losses. Now you're going against Devin Clark, who he really beat. He beat Alonzo Minifield, and now you're going to give him a little bit more credit, or you might say, oh, he could wrestle and put Smith on his back, and Smith is just going to lay there. But really, Devin Clark still has a questionable gas tank. His striking is still questionable. His chin's still questionable. He's not even really getting better. He beat Alonzo Minifield, who's really not the most technical fighter, still very green himself, got some power, no real wrestling background, all the best wrestling. He got good hips and some striking power. So beating Minifield don't really say a lot. It's a good win. You had a tough fight and was all this and all that and stuff. It got you a win, and you had, like I said, no discredit to getting the victory and fighting a hard-fought fight, but it don't really say nothing about you against moving forward up in the division to show that you can bite down and win a fight. But can you beat a person that's really been up there in the division? He hasn't shown that yet. So his takedown, he has amazing, not amazing, he's still a good wrestler. Cardio still questionable, chin still questionable, striking still questionable. And I think he can take Smith down, but I think it's really going to be a fight where Clark might have some early success with his wrestling, with his striking, but he's going to start to slow down. Smith's going to start to work, get back to his feet, tire him out, and then start to pick him apart. Or maybe be a typical Smith fight, or, when Smith was coming up, like come back from behind and stuff, where he was a fight where he kind of started slow. His opponent started strong, and then his fight started to wear on. Say, do you know who I am? Or do you remember who I am? Well, he's not even that guy no more, that he's the underdog no more. Other when he was the underdog, where he had so much, that chip on the shoulder. He probably still has that chip, but either way, a fight where I feel like Clark could be strong early, but given his tendencies and given his flaws, I feel like he's might have a good start, but he's gonna start to fade and not be able to maintain that pace. Smith's gonna keep making it work, tire him out, and then use that height, use that reach, use that striking, use all his 8 limbs, those elbows and knees, and start to walk and pick apart Clark and have a tired fighter who doesn't have the best footwork or best defense, chin straight up, getting picked apart, tired, and can only do desperation takedowns, start to pick him apart and put him away in that 3rd round early. So in this fight, I have Anthony Smith via 3rd round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the heavyweight division, Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis. And this is another one that could be very quick. Even though it's the main event, this might be one of the shortest main event predictions. So Derrick Lewis, let me just say out the bat, give this man all his credit. He's not no gimmick fighter. He's not no joke. This man has beat former world champions. He has beat high-level kickboxers, world-class kickboxers. He has beaten at least 5, or I don't know how many ranked fighters, but he beat at least 3 ranked top 10 fighters. He's beaten Ngannou. He's beat he's beat Ngannou. He's beat Oleinik. So Ivanov, Oleinik, Ngannou, Volkov, Tybura, who coming back with some steam now. Beat Travis Brown when it still was somewhat credible, even though it was not the most credible. But yeah, he beat Shamil Abdurrahimov. So he beat a lot of credible competition nowadays. So he's no joke. He got a title fight, and he wasn't a 5-fight win. Now he was on a 3 or 4 fight winning streak when he fought Cormier. So you can say all you want about him, but that guy's he's not just a joke. He's a real deal fighter. So I give him that. But going against Blaydes, where I'm going with this is that Lewis still has the same flaws. He's getting more comfortable in his wrestling or defense or grappling, or at least in grappling, but his takedown defense hasn't really improved. It's still kind of the same theme. He gets taken down. He spends large portions of time on his back. Then either in the last minutes of a round, he explodes, or the last minute of the fight, he explodes. And right now, he hasn't really been getting that finish. Well, he did just get a finish after a long time not getting a finish over Oleinik, but in that recent thing where he's talking about he's cutting weight. I mean, he's trimming down a little bit and working on this and working on that. His prior 2 fights were decisions, kind of the same thing, get taken down large portions of the time on his back, and then explodes at points in the round, or explodes in that last round in the last 30 seconds. He just sneaks away on a decision. And then his last fight kind of was held down a lot of the first round. In the second round, exploded flying knee and knocked him out in less than a minute. So still that same tendency to be on his back too much. And now you're going against Blaydes, the best wrestler in this division. By far the best grappler as far as wrestler that you have fought in your career. So I don't know if that's going to bode the best for him. It's a 5-round fight, so it gives Lewis more time to, pull off, a Lewis surprise and catch you and knock you out. But I think while Lewis is so comfortable on his back, it's not going to make Blaydes have to work. And Blaydes can wrestle you all day, especially if you're not going to be making him work off your back. So he could lay on you and just coast to a decision. But I think he'll be looking for a finish against Lewis. But like I said, I think Lewis, he spends too much time on his back. Yes, it's he's safe and he's been able to, I don't think he's ever been submitted. So at least he has something to say. Oh, I'll be on my back, but have I been submitted? No. Have I ever been just on my back? Well, he got submitted by Cormier. Scratch that. But outside of, one of the best fighters of all time, when he's on his back against all these guys, supposed to be so good, he has not been submitted. So credits to him. He has not been TKO'd. Well, he has been TKO'd, but it's never been somebody just take him down and TKO him. He's been dropped and TKO'd, but enough of that. But either way, what it kind of comes down to this point is that Blaydes, the best wrestler in the division, by far the best wrestler that Lewis has ever fought, best grappler Lewis has ever fought, going to put him on his back, and Lewis is going to get taken down, and Lewis is going to spend large portions of time on his feet, and you're kind of banking on Lewis to find that opportunity to either where he can somewhat tire Blaydes out, maybe land some phenomenal Hail Mary body shot or some Hail Mary overhand or something. But it's going to be a typical Lewis fight, but it's going to be a fight where he's going to get grinded out and probably wore out and probably tapped out with a rear naked choke in the 3rd round. I'm not going to say probably. I predict him to get choked out with a rear naked choke in the 3rd round. I think he'll be taken down every single round, probably multiple times every single round. Blaydes is gonna be on top of him, just landing ground and pound, and keep putting him on. Not Lewis, but Blaydes gonna keep putting him on the ground, keep tagging him up on the ground, and to the point where he just drains Lewis so much, and then when Lewis tries to turn and explode back up like he likes to do, I think he sinks in the hooks, and then goes for that rear naked choke and taps him out in that third round. So in this fight, I have Curtis Blaydes via third round submission. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis. And as always, thanks for watching.